The Bakery Window. Chapter 1. The Scent of Cinnamon at 4 a.m. I wake up every morning at 4:03 a.m. sharp. No alarm needed. My body just knows. The streets of Briarfield are still dark, hushed, barely breathing. The air is cold, clean in a way it never is later in the day. And every single morning, I walk the same 6 blocks to the bakery with my hands stuffed in my hoodie pockets and my breath fogging the air like smoke from a memory. My name's Lucas. I'm 27 years old, and I make bread. Not the metaphorical kind. Not chasing paper. I make actual bread. Sourdough. Brioche. Croissants so buttery you can feel your arteries panic just looking at them. And this bakery. Magnolia and Maine. It's my whole damn life. I didn't plan it that way. Hell, nothing in my life ever really went as planned. But somewhere between dropping out of college and my dad walking out for the second time, I found peace in flour, fire, and a rhythm I could count on. There's something about the way dough fights back when you need it. Like it's alive. Like it's daring you to earn its trust. Most people don't get it. They see pastries in the window and think it's all delicate and sweet, but baking is violent. It's pressure and heat and patience and trust. It's sacrifice. You give yourself to it. And every morning, while the city still sleeps, I give myself to it again. That morning started like any other. The ovens were roaring. The air smelled like cinnamon and burnt sugar. I was elbow deep in dough, listening to the hum of Billie Holiday through the old speakers, when I looked up, and there she was. Same place. Same time. Right outside the window. She always stood there. Coffee in one hand, scarf wrapped tight around her neck, eyes wandering over the glass like she was searching for something that wasn't quite on the menu. She'd been showing up for about 3 weeks. Never came in. Never waved. Just watched. I didn't know her name. But I'd started calling her, Window Girl, in my head. Some mornings she smiled. Some mornings she looked like she'd been crying. This morning, she looked scared. Like really scared. I wiped my hands on my apron and moved toward the window, half expecting her to walk away like she usually did. But she didn't. She looked right at me, eyes wide. Almost pleading. And then she mouthed something. Just one word. Help. Chapter 2. The Girl Behind the Glass. It was just after 6 in the morning when I first saw her. The streets were still silver with fog, and the bakery smelled of rising dough and cinnamon. I was placing a tray of croissants behind the front display when something caught my eye. She stood on the other side of the glass, a coffee in hand, bundled in a green coat too big for her frame. Her eyes were the kind that paused time, wide, thoughtful, curious. Like she wasn't just looking at the pastries, but through them. Like she was looking into something deeper, something I didn't even know I was giving away. And then, just like that, she smiled. Not one of those forced, half-light smiles you give to strangers. No, this was different, soft and genuine, the kind of smile that stayed with you, even after she turned away and disappeared into the fog. For a moment, I stood frozen, croissant in hand, wondering if I had imagined her entirely. But she came back. Every morning. Same time, same coat, same coffee cup from the place across the street. She'd pause in front of the window for a few seconds, sometimes longer. And then she'd vanish again, swallowed up by the city. I never said anything. I told myself it didn't mean anything. People pass windows. People look. People smile. It doesn't mean they're seeing you. But every morning, I caught myself arranging the tray a little neater. Wiping the glass just once more. And when she smiled? My day started like the first warm bite of a perfect loaf of bread. I didn't even know her name. A week later it happened. The oven timer was beeping, the back door was open to let the heat out, and I was carrying a tray of raspberry danishes when I heard someone clear their throat. I turned. She was standing inside the bakery. And this time, she was looking directly at me. "I hope this isn't weird," she said. But I figured I should finally try what I'd been staring at for a week. Her voice was soft, like the rustle of newspaper pages on a quiet Sunday. She had a small birthmark just below her left ear, shaped almost like a comma. I blinked. Not weird. Welcome. She walked up to the counter, brushing a strand of hair behind her ear. What do you recommend? She asked. I nearly said everything. Especially if you're the one eating it. But I cleared my throat instead. Depends. Sweet or savory? She thought for a second. Surprise me. I handed her a small raspberry tart. It wasn't the best pastry we had that day. But it was the one I'd made thinking of her, without even realizing it. She took a bite. Her eyes lit up. And just like that, I was in trouble. Her name was Clara. She worked at the art supply store 2 blocks down, studied photography in college. Lived with her cat Leo. Hated mushrooms. Loved thunderstorms. We started talking every morning after that. 10 minutes turned into 20. Sometimes, she'd stay through my entire break. Sometimes, I'd pretend to be on break just to talk to her. She asked questions. Real ones. Not the polite, surface-level kind. She wanted to know what flour I used. Why I preferred kneading by hand. Why I moved to the city. No one ever asked me those kinds of things. I like your hands, she said one morning. I looked up from the counter, confused. They're always doing something. But calm. Like they know what they're doing, even when you don't. I had no idea what to say. So I said nothing. And then came the night everything changed. It was storming hard, wind slamming against the windows, rain falling sideways. The bakery was already closed. I was mopping the floor when I heard banging on the front door. It was Clara. Soaked. Shivering. Crying. I let her in without a word. He hit me, she said, voice trembling. My heart stopped. She was clutching her phone like a lifeline. Her wrist was red. Her cheek bruised. He's not my boyfriend, she said quickly, like it mattered. It was over, I thought. But he showed up at my place. I didn't know where else to go. I led her to the back, gave her a towel, made her tea. She cried. Then raged. Then went quiet. I sat beside her on the flour-dusted bench. I didn't know what to say. So I listened. He said no one would care. She whispered. That I was nothing. That even the guy at the bakery was just being nice. She looked up at me then. Broken. Brave. Was he right? I leaned forward. No. And I kissed her. It wasn't planned. It wasn't smooth. But it was real. She kissed me back like she'd been waiting for that moment her entire life. And for the first time since my dad died, since I left home, since I learned how to shape dough like memory, I didn't feel alone. Chapter 3. The Recipe for Forever. Madeline didn't just return, she stayed. She moved into the little apartment above the bakery, the one that used to smell like old ledgers and my grandfather's pipe smoke. Now it smelled like lavender, fresh paint, and rising bread. We fixed it up together. She painted one wall blue, said it reminded her of the sky and stories she read as a kid. I hung my granddad's rolling pin above the door. Said it reminded me how far we'd come. Life didn't get easier. Just clearer. Some mornings, she'd oversleep and rush downstairs with one shoe on, shouting something about coffee and deadlines. Other mornings, I'd burn the croissants because I got caught staring at her dancing to some record we found in the back room. The rhythm of our days was messy, human, imperfect, and full of joy. One evening, as the last customer left and the sign flipped to closed, she sat me down in the window booth. I used to be afraid, she said, fingers tracing the rim of her teacup. Of staying. Of belonging to something. But this place, you, made me want to build, not run. I took her hand, heart pounding harder than the mixers in the back room. Then let's build everything. We got married in the bakery that fall. String lights overhead. Scones and laughter and the kind of vows that come not from tradition, but truth. She wore a simple dress and flower on her elbow. I wore my grandfather's apron. And together, we promised to rise, again and again, no matter what. Now every morning, when the sun spills through the bakery window, I see her there, pouring coffee, humming off-key, smiling like we never lost anything. And in a way, we didn't. We just found what we'd been looking for. Together.